NJ, CJ, I'm not exactly sure how to say this.
What's on your mind?
I don't think I believe in God anymore. That's how I feel. Hi, my name is Jermaine Wong. You're tuned into Final Call Productions at the Germane Thinkin spot. I'm here with Anxious J and Curious J. Curious, I'm a little concerned.
Just a little? He just said he doesn't believe in the big guy anymore.
That can't be true. CJ, you just got questions, right? There's one in particular that no one is answering properly and is leading me to not believe in God.
That's gotta be some deep question, bro.
What type of question? A question that every time I ask it, they avoid it or give me some ridiculous cliche answer that don't make any sense.
Not gonna lie, that happens to me more often than not, you know, NJ.
Okay, but that doesn't mean quit your whole belief. What limited mind can know everything there is to know about a limitless God? It depends on the question not being answered. So you're saying you have a question so deep that if it's not answered adequately, you're letting go of your faith.
Faith in the creator God.
Not only do I want the question answered, but I want it answered proper. No beating around the bush. No, the Lord will let you know in due time. None of that.
Boy, that's a tall order.
This is a serious issue for you, huh? All I know is I'm finding it very difficult to hold on to my faith in the big guy. So unless you or Anxious J answer my question, I think I'm just gonna bounce and just do my own thing. Okay, I want you to leave here with your faith so we could at least try and answer your question, right, AJ?
I can only share what I've experienced myself, what God means to me.
That's the best we both can do. We can only share what we know, CJ. Hopefully it will be enough to have you strongly consider not letting go of your faith because in my opinion, that's a very unsafe place to be in. Okay, my question.
I hope it's only something like, was Jesus black or white?
What?
Because I could handle a question like that.
No, we've come far enough to know that Jesus wasn't black or white, right? He was Jewish from the ancient Near East cultures. He wasn't black or white, more of an olive complexion.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, me too, kind of. Anyway, that's not my question.
All right, we're listening.
God is all good, right?
Yes. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be hard.
Next question.
Sorry.
Go on, CJ. God is all good, right? I believe so. Then what's the deal with all the evil that's happening in the world?
Man, I was hoping it would be any question but that one.
That's your question? Why is there evil?
Yeah.
That's easy to answer.
It is? Because I've gone blank with that one quite a few times.
God isn't the one that brings evil into the world. It's the enemies of God that do that, not him. But he's supposed to be all-powerful. Yet, evil still exists.
But what he's saying is that God is not the cause.
He might not cause it, AJ, but he doesn't prevent it from happening either. Does he prevent slavery? No. Does he prevent murder? No. He has all the power to stop the madness, and yet it still goes on. Why? Why? Your question is valid and very important. Indeed, this question has prevented people from going all out with God and has in fact caused many people to let go of him completely. That is where I'm at. Okay, there's a lot of ways to approach this question, but I'm going to present 3 approaches that has helped me come to grips with why a good God allows suffering. And hopefully the peace that I've gained can be transferred over to you. Say no more. Let's do it. The number one thing that gives me peace with the knowledge that a good God allows suffering is my understanding that God gives every human being the freedom of choice.
That's right. God has created us to be free moral agents.
Break it down. What that simply means is that God has created us with the truest essence of love.
Because God is love.
And for love to be absolutely true, it absolutely cannot be forced. The nature of love demands that we have the ability to choose or not choose to love. Does this make sense?
Yeah, I'm with you.
I was asking CJ. Yeah, he was. Go on. Now with our freedom of choice, when human beings use that freedom to love, it leads to good things happening in our world. But unfortunately, that very same freedom can also be abused. Human beings can use their freedom not to love, and this leads to a lot of the suffering we see in our world.
To name a few.
Things like what CJ is saying, slavery, murder, that type of suffering is the result of human beings abusing their freedom of choice and choosing not to love. If everybody chose to love, slavery and murder would not exist. But when we choose not to love, a self-centered spirit accompanies that choice. And it's that selfishness that leads to the suffering that we see in the world today. That makes a little sense, but it still isn't fair in my opinion.
Why not?
Because there are still people experiencing suffering when they've done nothing to deserve it. When people are abusing their freedom of choice, as you put it, why doesn't God protect the innocent from that abuse? That is very difficult to answer, but it does lead me to my number 2. Why doesn't God protect the innocent from the abuse that occurs when human beings choose not to love? And my honest answer, CJ, is I don't know.
You don't know?
Not fully, no. The thing is, there are 1,000 stories, if not 1,000,000 stories where God has protected people from abuse and suffering. I personally believe that God doesn't want anyone to experience suffering. But as we know, suffering does happen, and sometimes the innocent are affected. If he doesn't want suffering, but yet it still happens, what does that say about him being all-powerful?
Is he willingly restricting his power to act?
That is one way of looking at it. But we have to consider that God acting against every instance of abuse and suffering may be violating an aspect of human freedom that we just don't know about. And this is where trusting in the goodness of God helps. This is how I get peace with that. You're gonna need to elaborate on that one, please. I believe that God has appointed a time when all abuse, all suffering, all abuse of our freedom of choice will come to an end. God has promised to eradicate suffering permanently.
Good, because we cannot go on like this forever.
In the meantime though, there are circumstances when he does intervene and times when he doesn't. That might be because there's a bigger picture that we just can't comprehend yet. But I trust that God is good when he intervenes and even when he doesn't. I trust that I cannot know everything right now. I also remember that God draws very near to people in suffering so they can have peace to bear it. I'm gonna need to absorb that one. Might have to come back to you with a part 2 on that. CJ, I don't disagree. While I ponder on that, perhaps you can tell me how you get peace with God in regards to natural disasters.
Oh boy.
Because you know natural disasters have nothing to do with freedom of choice.
True.
How do you find peace when God allows suffering that comes from those circumstances?
And here's my number 3.
There is a text that I refer to when I'm grappling with this very question. It says, we know that all creation is groaning as in the pains of childbirth up until that present time.
And what do you understand that to mean?
As much as human beings are waiting for God to end the struggle, the earth as part of all creation are waiting for God to end the struggle too.
Go on.
Natural disasters get more frequent and more intense, just like labor pains, as the time gets closer to the birth of a new way of living, God's way.
Oh, okay, I'm making the connection.
Now if you follow the analogy, the labor pain stroke suffering a mother goes through before the birth is a necessary struggle to produce the joy of a newborn baby at the end. Mommy doesn't want the pain. Mommy does everything to stop the pain. But in the end, the joy of new life makes the suffering insignificant.
So you're saying...
Similarly, the natural disasters that the earth goes through and the suffering that occurs as a result will not be worth comparing when we experience the joy of the new life we're going to live. The suffering that we experience prior would be insignificant.
That's beautiful.
But there's still the issue of suffering taking place that is not the result of human choice. God could prevent that.
You're right, he could.
And like I said, I don't always know why he doesn't. But having peace when he doesn't always goes back to me trusting that he might have a reason that I just don't understand. I mean, what would actually happen to mommy if there was no push or no struggle to get baby out? Would it lead to suffering that was 10 times worse?
Boy, give me some things to think about.
Plus, God says he keeps the full force of natural disasters in check so people have an opportunity to know him. Natural disasters would be a lot worse if God wasn't intervening in some aspects. CJ, I have no clue whether this has helped you or not. To be honest, I don't know if I'm fully convinced. I still have a lot of questions. But I guess for now, you've given me something to think about. And I guess I could hold on to my faith a little while longer until we meet again. That's good enough for me, CJ.
This is nice. We need more of this.
So just so it's clear in my head, you have peace despite God allowing suffering because suffering is a risk of free choice, right? Freedom of choice is necessary for love to be true. And if human beings have that freedom, you also have the ability to abuse that freedom, which results in suffering. Sounds about right. 2, you have peace because you believe that God has appointed a time when all suffering, all abuse of freedom of choice will come to an end. And you believe that God draws near to people in their suffering so they can have peace to bear it. And 3, you have peace because you look forward to the joy and birth of a new way to live, God's way. God's ultimate way of living will make the suffering we're experiencing now insignificant. It is nothing to be compared to.
And that is a beautiful thought.
This was a very difficult topic. What are some of the difficult questions you've had to respond to regarding your faith? Will I be allowed to eat curry goat in heaven? Let me know in the comment section below. Please share this video and connect with someone you know that's got difficult faith questions. Yeah, let me know if you was feeling my question. And until we see each other again, keep tight, hold tight, and until next time.